Hello everyone, my name is Mandi Lynn. I'm the author of the fantasy novels Essence and I Am Mercy and thriller novel She's Not Here, and also the creator of authortube Academy. And today I wanted to talk about the worst writing advice you can receive. So giving people writing advice is tricky because everyone is different, everyone has their different way that they write and different way that they think they should write. But today I want to talk about some writing advice that you may have gotten in the past that may or may not be controversial. Tip number 1, write every day. So this is actually a tip I've given out a lot, and it's a tip that I think has very good value. However, I wanted to talk about it here today because there is such thing as being human. It is not humanly possible to write every day, and even if it was, it's not necessarily the best thing for your sanity. Now, I like to say that it's good to write every day because it helps you form habits, and when you form habits, you're able to write more and you're able to write more often, and the words just flow easier. However, with that said, we have to keep in mind that we all need breaks. No matter how much you love something, you can't do it every day. It is a lot of pressure to write every single day, and when you put that sort of pressure on yourself, you stop enjoying what you're doing and it makes it feel more like a job. With that said, I do want to say that you should feel no pressure to write every day if it doesn't work for you. I tend to write almost every day when I'm in the midst of writing a novel, but when I'm in between novels, I need that downtime to relax and do other things. Tip number 2, write in one genre. So obviously I don't enjoy following this tip because I've written young adult fantasy, historical fantasy, and psychological thriller. With that said, I can't seem to stick to a genre, and I have a feeling my 4th novel will probably be a different genre as well. Now, the reason this tip is handed out is because if you are published, you need to go into a niche market, and when you hop around genres, then it's hard to find like an audience that will like all the different genres you write in. So with that said, me writing in 3 different genres is considered risky and not necessarily smart. However, I write in 3 different genres because I don't care. I write in different genres because I write the story I want to tell. I can't just pigeonhole myself to one genre because I find that really boring. I write the way I read. I like to read a whole bunch of different things because I like to see what's out there. If you only read young adult fantasy, you'll notice you're reading the same thing over and over. And that's not a bad thing, but it's just the fact that you can only tell one genre's story so many different ways. And then after a while, you're just reading the same thing over and over again. And I feel like the same goes for if you're writing. If you're writing in only one genre, you can only tell so many different stories. Writing in multiple genres gives you some wiggle room to exercise your writing muscles and try out new things, and you'll notice your writing improves when you try to tell different types of stories. Tip number 3, you must have beta readers. And this is a tip that is not necessary. While it is extremely useful to have beta readers, by all means, is it necessary? Is it necessary to have someone look at your novel and edit it and give you feedback before you publish it? Yes, absolutely, especially if you're self-published. If you are the only person who's read your book and you publish it, you're gonna notice you're not gonna get the most friendly reviews. Now, while beta readers are amazing, they help you give feedback. If you have a hard time finding beta readers, or you just don't feel comfortable letting random strangers read your book and give you feedback, that's okay. I didn't have beta readers for Essence or I Am Mercy. Frankly, I don't even think I knew it was a thing at the time because I was just so ingrained in my own stories. However, I did hire a professional editor. That editor helped me spot plot holes and fix things and do everything that a beta reader would have done. As long as you have someone looking at your book at some point and giving you constructive feedback, you are fine. Tip number 4 that I like to ignore is write what you know. Now, it is much easier to write what you know, and you can give something very organic and true to your audience when you write what you know. we don't know everything. And frankly, if you are just a regular old person, the odds are is that you have a pretty normal and boring life. How are you supposed to write a page-turning novel if all you do is go to school or go to work and you don't have like drama in your life? How are you supposed to write an exciting and engaging story if you haven't experienced something that's exciting and engaging? This is just another way I like to reiterate the fact that you can't pigeonhole yourself when it comes to writing. Just let yourself write. If you've never experienced something but you want to write about it, try to experience it. Whether that means experiencing it through another novel that you've read or doing some real-world research, as long as you throw your heart and soul into something, you can write about anything. The last piece of advice I like to ignore is don't use said. So this is actually a very controversial thing. So I've heard of people who say you can only use said, or you shouldn't use said and you should use other words to describe things, like he vehemently uproared or something. I don't know, but people like to get really creative when they're using dialogue, and while that's great, you can't use it all the time. So when you're reading dialogue, you want it to flow, and you don't want your readers to even know that they're reading dialogue. You need to throw the word said in so you know who's talking, but if you throw the word said in, people are so used to it that they don't even notice it, so all they notice is this is who's talking. They don't notice the actual word said and all that. And if you use all these fancy different ways of quoting dialogue, it pops out at the reader. And sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. So if you strictly say you shouldn't ever use the word said, or you strictly say you should only use the word said, you are once again pinholing yourself, and you really shouldn't do that. There's a lovely balance. I think about maybe 80 to 90% of the time you should be using the word said, and the other like 10 or 20% you can get all fancy, but really there's always that balance, and there's no strict rules to writing. And that's basically all I wanted to translate with this video, is that everyone's gonna give you advice. Some of it's gonna be good, some of it's gonna be bad, and maybe I've given you some advice that you don't agree with, which I'm sure is completely possible, and I know for a fact people have given me advice that I don't agree with. You just gotta do what works for you and do what feels right in your heart when it comes to telling your story. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in comments down below, and let me know what the worst writing advice is that you've ever received. If you want to stay up to date with everything that I am doing with my books and my publishing house, be sure to subscribe to my author newsletter. It will be linked down below, and when you are subscribed, you get the first 3 chapters of She's Not Here, as well as my mini guide of how to conquer writer's block. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe.